Good Friday morning to you. Thanks for joining us on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Michelle Beck. Heads up if you're heading out this morning. We've got a shot at storms moving through the metro, so our KARE 11 weather team is issuing a KARE 11 weather impact alert. Nothing crazy is expected from the storm, but we could see rain a few times and for a few hours. We'll check in with our weather team in just a little bit. But do be prepared if you're heading to the state fair this morning. That rain might have you ducking into some buildings. Audrey is there with some tips.
The rain is not expected to set in until closer to midday, so that's going to be your cue to head into a building like maybe the KARE 11 barn behind me, maybe one of the livestock areas, just to make sure that you are getting out of the elements. If severe weather hits at any point during the fair, the State Fair actually has a handy-dandy map on their website showing severe weather shelters on the grounds. But in the event of garden variety rain, like what we're expecting today, fair reps say any building will do for shelter. There's plenty to choose from with vendors and exhibits. I do want to show you one more thing though. Last year, on the first Friday of the fair, there was an attendance record set for that day with more than 171,000 people showing up. The rain this year could put a little bit of a damper on that. The good news, though, is that the rain is expected to move out by 2 p.m. That's the start of the daily parade, so have no fear, it likely will not rain on our parade today. Back to you.
Audrey, thanks. Well, this morning we are expecting to learn why the Minnesota DFL pulled an endorsement by the Minneapolis DFL for Omar Fateh in the race for mayor. Their split reaction about steps the party's taken so far. To one campaign, revoking an endorsement is an example of disenfranchisement, and to another, it's correcting mistakes. You're taking a look at the draft report released yesterday by the state DFL. It calls out failures in the electronic voting process used at the Minneapolis convention in July. It's a meeting that led to State Senator Omar Fateh winning the party's pick for mayor. Now, specifically, a rules committee says 176 votes were not counted during the first ballot, causing another candidate, Dwayne Davis, to be dropped from consideration. The incumbent, Mayor Jacob Frey, has protested the endorsement from the start. Take a listen to one of his supporters who submitted his own challenge to the rules committee.
25% of the delegates' votes were not counted on the first ballot, including my own. What the committee did and what the state chair has upheld is democracy. Every vote should count.
This is something that they normally wouldn't do, and I've been through this process before. Then that means that there was overwhelming evidence that they needed to vacate the endorsement. We have to make sure it's efficient and that it's fair, and it didn't seem like that was the case.
As far as consequences go, the state party says the Minneapolis DFL is on probation and will not be endorsing anyone for mayor this year. Some people are upset about this decision to overturn the endorsement, and they'll be protesting today at noon at City Hall. Breaking this morning, we're waiting to learn more about a serious crash in Robbinsdale. We know it happened on Memorial Parkway and 34th Avenue around 2 this morning. A witness telling us she saw police chasing a blue car before it crashed into a tree. First responders were seen bringing people out of the car before sending them to a hospital. We've reached out to Hennepin County officials for more details, and we'll update you as soon as we know more. Developing right now, Eden Prairie police are looking for the suspect in a hit and run that sent a woman and 2 children to the hospital. It happened just before 8:30 last night at the intersection of Mitchell Road and Chestnut Drive. Police say a woman was walking in the crosswalk with 4 young kids, pulling 2 of them in a wagon. That's when a white car hit her and the wagon and drove away. The woman and one of the kids are expected to be okay, but we know one child is fighting for their life. Police are asking anyone with information to call 911. And this afternoon, 2 people charged in connection to a stray bullet that hit a 79-year-old woman inside her home will be in court. It happened around midnight last Sunday on 31st Street East in Minneapolis. According to charging documents, the person who fired the shots told officers they believed someone was chasing them. MPD says the shot that hit the woman was fired from a full city block away.
To have it turn around so quickly in a case like this where there's an elderly woman injured, we're very relieved.
Officers say they use security video and license plate readers to track down the suspects. The public could soon have access to unreleased files related to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The Justice Department is set to start releasing them to the House Oversight Committee today. That's according to the committee's chair, Representative James Comer. He says the panel will check the redactions and then make the files public. In a July memo, the Justice Department argues further disclosure is not appropriate. It says the files contain sensitive information about victims. A big financial win and a big policy loss for President Trump in the courts. The president, riding high off his legal victory in New York, greeted National Guard troops and law enforcement patrolling the streets of the nation's capital. He thanked officers and promised to make the Capitol beautiful. NBC's Alice Barr has details from Washington.
Hi there. President Trump's legal win in a civil fraud case against him coincides with a separate ruling on a controversial migrant detention center right next to the Florida Everglades.
Well, I just want to thank everybody very much.
This morning, as President Trump celebrates a legal win for his business empire, his administration's immigration crackdown is taking a hit with a federal ruling that could spell the end of the controversial migrant detention center known as Alligator Alcatraz. A Florida judge ruling the center can stay open for now, but cannot accept new detainees or do any construction, and must remove all generators, sewage, and waste receptacles within 60 days, calling into question how it could keep operating. Environmental groups that sued calling it a victory for the Florida Everglades ecosystems. The state of Florida, partnered on the site with the Trump administration, is appealing.
You're doing incredible.
That as President Trump thanked the federal law enforcement and National Guard troops he's deployed on the streets of D.C. to crack down on crime, while celebrating a win in a case against him as a New York appeals court threw out the $500 million judgment he faced after being found liable for civil fraud.
They stole $550 million from me with a fake case, and it was overturned.
The 5-judge panel was divided, with 2 finding President Trump was correctly found guilty of fraud, 2 saying he should receive a new trial, and 1 finding the case should be dismissed. All 5 ruled the penalty was excessive. New York Attorney General Letitia James plans to appeal. In 2022, she accused Mr. Trump and his family real estate business of inflating his net worth to get better loan terms, now highlighting that the ruling that he committed fraud still stands. The ruling leaves in place restrictions on the Trump Organization's ability to do business in New York, and his legal team is expected to keep appealing, while the Justice Department is investigating James for bringing the case and for new allegations she committed mortgage fraud that James's attorney has called political retribution. In Washington, I'm Alice Barr. Back to you.
The boycott against Target won't be ending anytime soon. In the last 24 hours, community activists demonstrated outside the retailer's Minneapolis headquarters. They're asking people to stop shopping at Target until the retailer restores public trust and advances racial equity. This comes after Target announced a new CEO will take the helm in February. Organizers say Michael Fidelki is an insider and question whether or not he'll actually bring change.
He has a 20-year history within Target. So can he really bring fresh and new leadership? That's what we're waiting to find out.
Activists also say they're willing to meet with Fidelki, but first Target must roll back the reversal of its DEI policies. Today, Lyle Menendez will appear in front of a California parole board to make his case for release. It comes less than a day after his brother, Eric, was denied parole in a separate hearing. The brothers were convicted of murdering their parents in 1989. They were resentenced earlier this year, making them eligible for parole for the very first time. Day 2 of the Minnesota State Fair is underway. The fair is obviously packed with food, entertainment, and shopping, but this year there's a new exhibit you're going to want to check out. Our Jessica Hart takes a look at this out-of-the-world experience.
The Minnesota State Fair is known for
corn,
A lot of chips.
food
French fries.
that's out of this world.
Chewy, hot, delicious.
But at the north end of the fair,
It's a neat exhibit.
there's something literally out of this world.
It's a moon rock.
A moon rock collected by James Irwin on the Apollo 15 mission.
We're trying to get the public enthusiastic and excited about the technology and advancement of the NASA missions.
Chris Hartenstein manages NASA's Suited and Booted exhibit.
We've brought a collection of our exhibit and artifacts of spacesuits to understand about the history of spacesuits and how they've developed over time.
Right here, these are two spacesuits, they're replica spacesuits of what NASA uses. The one on the left weighs about 350 pounds. I helped deploy the internet to the space station. I flew a few vehicles. I've launched rockets. It's really been a lot of fun.
Mike Lammers is the flight director at NASA's Houston Space Center.
So much about what I do today, and it was the things that I learned growing up.
Things he learned at Albert Lee, where he went to school, proving anyone can work at NASA.
When I get older, I want to be an astronaut.
He might just do it and do work that's out of this world.
Love that. Thanks so much, Jessica. Do stick with us. More news and weather coming up after the break.